Hello and welcome to Community First Podcast, a B&P Associate podcast where we discuss legal and social issues that matter to the community. Today we are in for a treat. We have a conversation where we talk about how to use your craft for impact, how to reinvent yourselves, and how to stay relevant across decades. And you know that we had to get the right man for the right job. Today our guest is a celebrated playwright, author, motivational speaker, husband, father, and leader. Yet at his core, he simply describes himself as a storyteller. His journey in theatre began in 1975, and over the years, he has written and directed more than 60 stage productions. This Valentine weekend, two of his most dramatic plays would be staged at the National Theatre, Love on the Ropes and Dubai or No Sex. His impact on Ghana's arts and culture landscape has earned him several prestigious awards, including the Life Icon Award in 2023 by the Head of State Award Scheme, a Cultural and Tourism Icon Award by the Ghana Tourism Authority, and the GAW Achievement Award by the Ghana Association of Writers. As an author, he has penned 3 thought-provoking books, The Deal, The Perfect Couple, and Let's Talk About Sex. Beyond theatre and literature, he has been a consistent voice of inspiration for over 32 years, sharing life-changing wisdom on Joy 99.7 FM's Food for Thoughts. He has shaped lives, challenged mindsets, and uplifted countless individuals through this platform. He is an ardent believer of love and relationships. He has been married to Florence for over 41 years and fathers many, believing that fatherhood transcends beyond biology and DNA. Through storytelling and mentorship and an unshakable commitment to uplifting others, he continues to leave an indelible mark on hearts and mind. I am sure that by this introduction, you would have already guessed that our guest for today is none other than Ghana's favorite uncle, Uncle Ebo Whyte. Stay tuned for the rest of the episode. Hello, Uncle. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
We are so excited to have you.
Okay.
And today we wanted to have a very big conversation, especially in this era where people are starting new adventures, new professions, new journeys. And sometimes the road looks a bit would I make it? And so when we have people who started journeys that at a time was not really a journey that was known, I mean, the theatre and the arts, arguably around the time that you started off, was not a very glamorous.
No, it was non-existent.
Exactly. I think that's the word I was looking for. Non-existent. And you have young people trying to start things and are wondering, okay, how do I make it? How do I charter my path? And so, I mean, we have different people watching, but we just want people to see a success story and then see how they can also draw lessons from it and then use that on your path. But before we get into all of this, we just want to know a little bit about yourself.
Okay.
My personal question is, was there ever a James? Or it was always an Ebo? Because
it was always a James it was always a James till the 90s.
Okay.
The Ebo was never used.
Okay.
Because the Ebo is the pet name for Kwabena.
Okay.
You know, so among the Fantis, every Kwabena is Ebo. So it was never really used until I encountered a situation in the 90s that made me realize that if I didn't add something African to my name, because I had always been James Whyte.
Oh.
That's
very white.
From primary school. And then I had a situation where I was to meet someone. Went to his office and he wasn't available. This was a Ghanaian. And then I asked, but where is the office. And so that's his office, but he's not there. I said, okay. When do you think I can get him? So well, try the afternoon. So I go back the afternoon. And because they had already pointed the office to me, I walked straight to the office, knocked at the door. Yes, come in, entered, and there he was. Oh, what can I do for you? I said, oh, I'm James Whyte. And then he started laughing. I said, what did my secretary tell you? I said, I didn't go through your secretary. But what did you tell your secretary? He said, I told my secretary that I don't want to see any white man today. So they are supposed to have turned you away because I thought with a name like that. Then he said, what is wrong with you? Why would you have a name like that? So that's when I realized, no, add Ebo to it so that they know this is not a Canadian, this is not an American, this is not a British, but this is a Ghanaian.
Wow, that's some interesting story, because I always wondered, I was like, okay, why? Because James, and usually in Ghana, you most likely be called by your first name in school. So let's talk a little bit about the James era.
So I can always tell how long I've known somebody by the way the person calls me.
Okay.
If the person calls me James, oh, that goes back to the 60s. You know, if the person calls me Ebo, no, if he calls me Brother White, then I know that is my Youth for Christ days, which started from 1974. So I know, okay, I may have known this person from 74. But if he says Ebo, it means I went to school with him when in the university. If he says Uncle Ebo, okay, that's a Latter-day Saint.
We are the Latter-day Saints.
Yeah, that's a Latter-day Saint.
We are the Latter-day Saints. So let me delve a little bit in the James era. So young James starts school. What does young James want to be?
Young James had always been I think the best way to describe it, I don't know how to put it in English. You know, a Jimmy Beer. You know, you may translate it for your people.
To wait.
Yeah, to wait.
That's very...
No, with the kind of background I grew up in and I was raised in, with the kind of parents who raised me, you didn't have dreams. Just waking up and moving around was enough. You know, and also because, especially in my home, where my mom sold at the market, was a fishmonger. The thing with market women is that most of them, food is never scarce in their home.
Yeah.
You know, and we had a bit of compound in our house, our house in Trestle. So that's where the boys in the neighborhood came to play. And my mom wanted to encourage that, and so we always had football. Always. One gets bad, she will buy another one for us, so we would buy another one, which was very convenient because then if you scored a goal I don't agree with, I catch my ball and say, hey, Obi, who would he go home? So in that kind of environment, then I didn't have any models to look up to say, oh, I would like to be like this. It was a very low income group setting. And everybody was at about the same level. And so you didn't dream much at all. And so when my father died when I was 14, my mom calls me to a meeting and says, look, your father had dreams to take you to college, but he's not here. So college is out for you. College meaning secondary school. Yeah. So this is the plan for your life from now on. You'll finish San 7, which is elementary form 4. And then I will take you to Swami Magazine and apprentice you to a mechanic. And then you will learn the trade and then begin to earn some money and help me take care of your 4 siblings, because I was the first of 5 children. And that was it. And I accepted it. That was my dream. Okay. Finish Form 4, go to Swami Magazine, become a fitter. I know I would have been a lousy fitter. I mean, I would have been the kind of fitter you bring your car to me and you take it away worse
with more problems than
with more problems than you brought.
So what was the turning point? What was the switch between a guy who was going to just do what's the plan that has been laid out by mom because of circumstances beyond her control? I mean, at the time, what is the switch for you? Or what was the switch for you to see, okay, now I have a vision? What was that switch like?
It was very slow because I have always been a pliable person. I've always been someone who didn't want to rock the boat. I've always been somebody who was a good boy. You know, and now I am scared when people say, oh, he's a good boy. He's a good boy means he's a tame boy. Life eats people like that up, you know. But the turning point, the beginning, because there were a series of things, but the first thing was my Form 3 teacher called Miss Comey, who paid for me to write my common entrance exams. When she discovered that so in my day, this was way back in the 60s, I wrote the common entrance in 69. The forms were sent to the schools, and then those who intend to write the common entrance exams, you pay and you pick a form.
Okay.
And then that registers you for the exams. And then so you pick a form, you take it home, your parents help you to choose the schools and things like that. Submit it at a particular day, and then you begin to prepare for the exams. So the forms have come, people have picked them, paid to pick them, and then this was the day of submission. And so when she called for the forms to be submitted, those who have filled the forms took it, quite a few of my mates. And then for some reason, instead of just putting them, that she began to go through the forms. So she goes through the forms and then she lifts her head and says, James, where's yours? And I burst into tears because that immediately brought back the memories of the death of my father, who had died the year before. And I knew that if he was there, that question wouldn't have arisen because my form would have been there. And then she was totally taken aback because it was a simple question. Where's your form? Why is he crying? Then my mate said, oh, he lost his father. And then the teacher, Miss Comey, said, James, come and pick a form. When you pass, I'll look after you. I'll pay for it.
Wow.
And because she was more or less going to finance my studies, then I gave her the choice of selecting the schools for me.
Okay.
Because in those days, money was precious, and boarding house fees could defeat people. But this is a woman who, out of the kindness of her heart, out of her limited, this is a Form 3 teacher, Saito teacher. So I somehow knew that she couldn't be that rich to be able to afford the elite schools. So I went to her and said, no, which schools? And I said, okay. And as the name would suggest, Miss Comey, she's a Ghana woman, but work had been transferred to Kumasi. And I said, okay, this is going to be the thing. You will pick day schools in Kumasi, in Accra, so that when you pass, you will go and live in my family house.
Wow.
And then that will be easier. So, okay, push schools. So we picked 2 day schools in Accra. So that is how I came. Now the results come, and I was one of 3 people to have passed from the whole school. You know, but her circumstances had changed, so she couldn't fulfill her promise. So the members of the community went to my mother and said, look, he's one of 3 to have passed in the whole school, which means there is a future for this boy. Whether if you have to sell all your cloth in your whatever you have to do to let this boy go on, you've got to do it. And so my mother then rose to the challenge. So it was that one day, my uncle, whom I didn't know until that time, was in his house, well-organized house, and there I was with my mother at his gate. My mother says, your nephew has passed the common entrance. The school is in Accra. It's a day school, so he has nowhere to sleep. So there, virtually, that was it. And that's how I moved to Accra. But that is the beginning. So now I'm out of Kumasi. I'm not going to be a fitter. I'm in secondary school. But even then, there wasn't any dream at all. It was just, okay, we're going to school, do the best you can, make those who have authority over you as happy, don't make their life difficult, and things like that. So gradually, then somehow theater found me in secondary school.
Okay.
When I was in secondary school, Form 3. And I know when I say secondary school, Form 3, I know secondary schools now end at Form 3. But in our days, it was, you go up to Form 5. And then you had a 2-year sixth form to do. And so secondary school was a total of 7 years. You know, it's like a medical
school at this point.
But in Form 3, I stumbled upon theater.
Okay.
And the timid boy began to move to the back stage because I was a very timid boy. But then theater gave me something that filled me with confidence and filled me with hope. And then after secondary school, a friend of mine said, oh, by the way, there's a group called Youth for Christ. They have a theater group. Since you are interested in theater, can you come and join them? Okay. So go to join them. They met at Kolebu at the School of Hygiene. I went there. They are preparing for a play, a production. So they were busy. Nobody had time for this new boy who had come in. So I just sat down, watched them. Come the day of the production, the guy who was directing the play had done a good work. He had 2 people for each role.
Okay.
But on the day, the 2 people for the lead character, independently, without consulting each other, decided that the director will use the other one. So why come?
Wow.
So here we are, and the show was at Kolebu Nurses Training Center hall. The hall is packed. The play cannot come on because
there's no lead.
The 2 leading characters. And those were the days. Remember, this is 1974. Mobile phones were not known in Ghana.
Yeah.
In fact, not too many homes even had the landline.
Landlines.
So here we were, waiting. Oh, they will come. They will come. They will come. They will come. By this time, an hour and a half gone. So people began to leave. Get up and just get up and leave. And because it was a free show, so you couldn't also come and make case. Because you're in charge of. So then I went to the director and said, look, my brother, if we don't start now, you won't have anybody. He said, but what can we do? There's the lead character. If it was a minor character, we could manage, but the lead character. I said, well, let me play it. He said, no, but you've never rehearsed it. I said, what do you have to lose? Let me play it. Wow. Because in the 2 weeks I've been sitting there watching them, I had memorized the play.
Wow.
And so I then got the chance to play it. So that was the first production after school on the ticket of Youth for Christ at the Nurses Training Center. And then at Kolebu. Then after that, I think he was quite impressed at what had happened because I had virtually bailed him out and bailed the production out. About a week and a half or 2 weeks after that, he calls me to a meeting and says, I've been transferred to Tamale. He worked with the health services. I've been transferred to Tamale. I've been thinking of who I'm going to leave the group for. from what you did for us 2 weeks ago, I think you'll be the best person to handle the group. I know you are new, but I think you can handle it. So yeah, the group is yours. So overnight, I inherit a group of 30 enthusiastic young people, and there's no play for them. So to engage them, and this was a standing group, so they met every Sunday. Whether there was a production or not, whether we were preparing, they met every Sunday. So to keep them busy, I started writing. So that is the history. That's how I got into theater.
Wow. A lot of things that could not happened
Yes.
and found you at the right
Yes.
place at the right time. So how
with,
did you
with no planning, but then you look back and you think there's a hand that was guiding all these things.
So how did you think? So now you have sort of a liking for theater. You
Yes.
think it's something you can do. At what point do you make what is something you like a business venture? How did you turn that? Okay, it looks like I'm doing well with this.
Yes.
Now let's make a business out of it. Or was it always say, okay, I'm just going to ride it as a passion till it goes? At what point do you switch from passion like to making a business out of it?
I think for me the question was not. It wasn't. Oh, I'm doing well at this, so let me take it further. It was, I love this. I didn't care whether I was good at it or not. I loved this, and I like to do this. And then I had an experience that because of this, of a platform like this, I hesitate to say, but somehow I had an inclination that this is going to be my life's work. It would be difficult to explain, but there was that conviction. When it was going to happen, how it was going to happen, I do not know. Because up to that point, theater generally was a part-time thing for everybody. It was a hobby. Not just from us in Youth for Christ, but for everybody else who was involved in this. The only place where you've had people who were professional, and I'll put that in quotation marks, was with a group that Madam Ifwa Sunderland had formed called Kusum Agroma. And they used to perform at the then drama studio on a regular basis. And then, then there's the concert party guys who lived on this. But that was it. I just knew I love this. And then the conviction came. This is going to be my life's work. That was in 1976, 77. But that promise was never realized till the year 2000. The year 2000, I had this experience where I had this strong conviction. Operate in the area of your gifting and not the area of your training.
Okay.
So operate in the area of your gifting.
Okay.
And so that made me sit up. And so in the year 2000, I decided I'm going to make a business out of theater. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know whether there's even business here or not. But I'm going to give it a try or starve. And I almost starved in there. But that changed. That mind that I'm going to operate in the area of my gifting. And with that, I threw away all my certificates because I didn't want anything I could fall back on.
Wow. This is extreme.
No, so now, if you ask me for a certificate, I can provide one. Unlike the politician, I won't tell you that the rain took it all away. No, I threw it away. I threw them away because I knew. Somehow I knew this was going to be difficult, but I didn't want anything to fall back on.
Okay, Uncle, I'll come back to this, but I just want to ask, I just want to be clear on the time. At this point, you were married?
I was married, yes.
Okay.
This is 2000, so I've been married since 83. And I had a good life in corporate Ghana. I had operated at the higher levels of various sectors. So that's why I would say I sold books, I sold money, because I worked with a company that owned 5 forex bureaus and a remittance company, First African Group Limited. I was the head of finance and admin there. I sold pharmaceuticals. I worked with Kinapharma as the general manager. I was the first general manager for Kinapharma. I sold cars. Worked with a company that was the local agent for VW, Audi, and Skoda. So I'd had a chance to experience corporate world. I had also had a chance of knowing how to make things happen at the corporate level. So I was coming to this not with naivety.
Okay.
But even then, my first 3 shows failed. But that conviction that there's something here for me will not go away. So every failure took me about 2 years to recover, and then eventually pick yourself up. Okay, I'll give it a try again.
So I actually wanted to touch a bit on that, because I think I read somewhere where you talked about how the first show was a 300-seater auditorium.
Yes.
The second
Art Center. That was Art Center.
Yes. The second was a 600.
Yes, that was Christ the King.
And then the third was 800.
800, which is banquet hall.
And when I was reading that, I asked myself, what audacity did you have? Because you would think that after every loss, you would either, from a business point of view, you would either maybe scale back or maintain that same auditorium capacity to see if you could actually make profits.
Yes.
So I was asking myself, this man should have had so much audacity to
There was something inside so strong. Now, if you ask me, I will not be able to explain, but there was something inside so strong. There was no question about the fact that this is what has been given me to do. There was nothing. The question was, how are we going to make it work? When is the breakthrough going to come? But that determination was there. It doesn't mean that the failures did not cost me a lot. They did. They cost me a lot of pain, a lot of anguish. And like I said, it always took about 2 years to pick myself up again and said, okay, I'm going to try this again.
So looking back, what would you say to someone who is on a similar path? And like I said, it takes you 2 years to recover. And sometimes you have family, you have maybe family are supporting, you have a life waiting for you. And sometimes it feels like I cannot wait for 2 years to recover. But this is something I want to do. This is something I have a conviction that I have to do. This is a craft that I think I'm good at. I think it's a gift. I have to stay on this path. But then you look back and you don't see a recovery in sight. So now that you have gone through that journey, I think that you have the advantage of foresight to be able to point us to something. So some things you hold on to in those times where you are like, I still would push, even though it looks like I've failed at this point.
What I've discovered about life is that life doesn't care whether you can wait or not wait. Life will make you wait. And those who cannot wait on life would then eventually hurt themselves in a very big way, because life doesn't really care. And there is a time and a season for everyone and for everything. And when that time and season haven't come, you can do all you want to do. It will be nothing. You understand? And I think younger people would have to understand that life doesn't bend to you. You would have to find a way of working in harmony with the times and the seasons and be ready and continually prepare yourself. But what you need to note, and that is something I learned from my own experience, is that nothing is wasted. When the season finally comes and you find yourself in your space, you will find that every experience you had in your low times was necessary to equip you for this, equip you to make this thing work.
Wow.
So people will come to me and say, Uncle, you've done all this and you're so humble. So I'm not humble, but life has humbled me. You understand me? Life has taught you who you'll be.
Mm.
So you carry whatever successes is coming your way lightly because you remember the days when it wasn't there, and then take it again one day at a time.
Wow. So now let's come to Riverman. You start Riverman, and there's a trend, at least a trend I have seen in your productions, where it's not just about having a good laugh. There's always a message.
Yes.
A message to politicians, a message to couples, a message to children, a message to whoever. There is always a message, and that seems to be a common trend. At the end of the production, it's as if you can write a note and say, "What I learned from this production." What made you want to go on that path? Was it because of that conviction? Because very few people make what they do go beyond just their craft and to give a bigger message to impact the society. So where politicians will receive a message at the end of a production, or where couples will have to go back and sit down and say, you know what, after watching this, I think we should pick one or two things.
You keep referring to the politicians. So to all the politicians there, I'm not targeting you. I mean, I'm just telling my stories and having fun telling my stories. But I soon realized and it's all part of the struggle to make it, that the arts is meant to entertain. If it is not entertaining, it is not the arts. No matter what else you may want to use the arts for, it must entertain. And then the arts must also enrich our lives. That's why we have it. It must enrich our lives. So you combine those two, and then you have the Rowan Theatre, where entertainment is very important to me. Indeed, I tell my team that I don't want anyone to think in my theatre. And I know in that there are theatre purists who hate what I'm doing because they think everybody comes and they laugh and then they go away, and that is not theatre. You've got to let them sit down and think. And I say, I don't want people to think in my theatre. I want them to have a good time. But because I know what human nature is, if the person has had a good time, he will not forget what gave him the good time. And in thinking about it, he may discover things, lessons and themes and values in it that he didn't even think were there when he was watching. So that I make no compromise over. I am here to entertain you. Would you pick anything away? Hopefully. But I should have entertained you.
Okay. So we have seen era of Gollywood, Nollywood, skits on YouTube, and different areas. I mean, you mentioned concert party. I think GTV used to do something on Sundays at 2 p.m. The one they used to sing
Opera.
Yes, and
Opera.
all of those things. They have come and go. You see them rising and fall. But Riverman, since I think it's 2008 when it became Riverman, has been there, and consistently you see families rush to National Theatre to consistently watch. What makes someone in any craft, not necessarily theatre, but what makes someone maintain this type of commitment from audience or from clients, customers, to after decades still want to come back?
A few things. The patrons must know you value them.
Yeah.
Because nobody needs to spend money to come and watch his play. It's not essential to anybody. If he doesn't watch the play, he wouldn't think he has lost anything. Unlike food, they will buy food. So you must understand that. that they honor you and do you a favor coming to your show. And it must reflect in everything you do, from the way you welcome them and from the show you put up. So respect them, respect your patrons. That's the first thing. The second thing is give them value. My motto is this: no matter how much I charge at the gates, the patron must go away feeling that he has cheated me.
That's true.
He must go away thinking, oh my goodness, the guy, he doesn't know the value of what he just put out because he should have charged more. We cheated him. They must go away with that. The third is that, remember, about 30% of those who watch my play in any quarter will turn up at the next quarter. They must not come and feel that, oh, there's nothing new here.
Same old, same old.
They must go away and think, oh, wow, we didn't think he could better the last production, but this is on a different level. So that then creates a cycle of what next is he going to do that will surprise us? What next is he going to give us that will take our breath away? And that is my mission. That is something my team and I work, and we work at this. We take it so seriously and we sacrifice so much for that. And so far, we thank God that we get a chance to do it. It's a joy to hear the theater burst into laughter. It's a joy to see people walking out of the theater happy and interacting, even when they don't know each other, because they feel so good. They have a community. They've created a community now. Yeah. And that is, so those are the things. Don't cut corners. I'd rather do a production and lose than to cut corners and let people go away feeling, this was a waste of our time. No, you're not going to have that experience in my theater.
And I remember the time I watched a lot of your productions. I don't know if you would remember this, but sometime between 2013 to 2015, you used to do this discounted production in terms of price for students.
Yes.
You bring your school ID card, and that was the time I cashed out on a lot of your production because every time I heard that it was happening, I was ready with my school ID card, ready to go and watch with my friends.
Except that we stopped now because we got tired of 70-year-old people turning up and say, I'm a student.
Ghana people. So Uncle, I just wanted to touch on this. So one of the things and I was talking to you about it early on before we started, was about the time of the starting of your production. And I think it's one of the things that we know that Ghana has something called Ghana Man time. And so when a activity or anything is supposed to happen at 3 o'clock, the Ghana person will see 3:30, 4 o'clock, 4:35, and finally we'll start at 6. But one of the things that has, I think, been consistent with your production is that 4 o'clock is 4 o'clock. 8 o'clock we are closing. 8 o'clock we are closing. Production is starting at this time. It is starting at this time. And for younger people starting something, I think that one of the challenges I have seen is maybe you're doing a program or something that involves people. You always have this thing, oh, there are only 2 people there. So if I start, then people miss the show. I wonder whether at the beginning of your production, did you ever encounter that problem? And is it something that it doesn't matter if there are 2 people, there's 1 person, I'm starting. And is that what gave that consistency, or there was a time where you struggled with being consistent with time, especially for something like a drama?
Well, starting anything on time in Ghana is a struggle. You'd have to be very disciplined. You have to be insistent on it for it to happen. It doesn't happen automatically. But I have always questioned the Ghana Man time for several reasons. No church service in Ghana begins late. It's the same Ghanaian. in Ghana. Some of the members will come late, but churches, a lot of churches, always they'll begin right on time. The same Ghanaian. When Ghanaians go outside Ghana, they are praised for their punctuality. Outside Ghana, Ghanaians are never late. They would always be there ahead of time. So that tells you that the Ghana man time is not real. Is fictional. It is something that we have created for ourselves. Now, this is how it comes into being. So, the first time you encounter anyone, you give them the benefit of the doubt and you get there early. They are not ready. So the second time, you make the allowance yourself.
Yeah.
They said 4 o'clock. I got there 4 o'clock. They were not ready. So let me try 4:30. Let me try 5. Let me try 6. And so we keep making the adjustment. And because that now happens, so let's say the first time that they started at 4:30, maybe something went wrong in the last minute. That's why they delayed. But because the second time I came at 4:30, when they were ready at 4, now they begin to also make adjustments for me. Do you understand me?
Yes.
The people, they won't come on time, so we'll have to. So we tell them 4, but we'll start at 4:30. Now, then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So now I come at 5. Then they realize 4:30, there's no one there. Oh my goodness. You see, these people, they don't know time, crowd. All right, let's wait for them. So you'll forever be waiting for me, for us. No, I would begin even if the hall is empty. We'll do it because we've said it. And even if there's one person in the auditorium, respect that person. That person, my philosophy is this. If you say you start at 4, none of us forced you to give us that time. You looked at your challenges, you looked at the circumstances, and you announced, I'll be ready at 4. And we took your word and came at 4. Why are you not ready? Because you said you begin at 4. Once we understand that, then you either pick a time you'll be ready. And but when that time is up, even if there's one person there, respect that person enough to start. It goes to respecting your patrons.
So let's talk about a little bit about intellectual property. You're in the creative and arts space. Unlike a bag that you can confidently, this is mine, and I keep it, I sell it, I get my profits. You're in a space where it goes beyond just the product. There is intellectual property involved. I tried doing a normal YouTube search, and it's very impressive how none of your, especially in this digital age, you wouldn't see anything of your content being pushed out there which is not regulated by you. And I realized in your productions that you will kindly write, we admonish you not to take a recording. And I'm wondering, is it that Ghanaians are so obedient? Because you would expect that there will be something out there. So I'm wondering how you've been able to ensure that your intellectual property has stayed within the boundaries that you have determined, especially in this social media age where people tend to take pictures and post it without recognizing that it's someone else's intellectual property and should be obeyed.
The average Ghanaian is cooperative. The average Ghanaian. But not every Ghanaian is like that. And so the average Ghanaian, once you say no recording, will give you your due. But then there's always some people who don't care what announcement you put out. They will try and record. And so that gives rise to us now planting people in the auditorium to look out for that. So we would catch you at it. Just that as technology gets more advanced, it becomes a little bit difficult to always be able to track it and to track who is recording. But we do the best we can. It is not easy. You've got to be polite about it, but you've got to also be fair about it. But the good news is that every Ghanaian would toe the line. You say no recording, I will respect it. But unfortunately, if they see somebody else recording, they won't call the person out. You know, they would rather turn to the person they came with. See me record, okay, or record, and they would leave it at that, you know, and leave you to come and be able to pick them. So I'm sure there are a few guys who have some recordings. Some people have made it a cat and mouse game. You say we won't record, but we'll see if we can outwit you. And they've tried. Our most memorable occasion was with the Chinese. He had come with a gadget to record the show, a Chinese man. We have no idea what he wanted to do it, but it's a kind where the phone is off, but it was still recording. You know, because there was something linked to the phone that didn't look like a phone, but that was recording. And somehow we managed to make it out, and we got him to delete it before he left the theater. It almost got nasty, so we had to bring the police in. And so the police pulled him out and ensured that he had deleted it. It's always an ongoing thing that you have. But once the vision is there, once the focus is there, we'll keep looking out for that.
Okay, so it's a love month, and I mean we know you are a certified love doctor, so we can't have you here without
I call
touching.
myself Love Aplenty.
Love Aplenty.
Yes.
So we can't have you here. One thing we have in common with you is that we, to some extent, deal with the conversation of marriage. Unfortunately for us, we usually get to deal with the marriage when it has broken down beyond reconciliation. And as lawyers, we have to represent the clients and then try and make sure that they are able to go their separate ways, especially when there are children involved, to make sure that children are protected. But you usually are at the point of salvaging the marriage. That way it doesn't get to us in the first place. It's a love month, and I'm sure that people who are listening, maybe they're in a relationship, and in this, one of the things that we realize in our profession is that most of the times the two main issues that come up is usually issues of unreasonable behavior, adultery, communication. Those are things that usually we tend to see in our clients' brief. Like, you have more people having those issues running through their I didn't say this, I didn't say this. So I wanted to bring this up, especially with knowing what you mentioned about burning your certificates, wanting to move to this, but you're in corporate world. Now you want to do this full time, you want to put that aside. You have a wife, and then it becomes an issue of, okay, not only a decision about what I want to do, but there's also a relationship you have to manage with your spouse, a conversation that needs to be had. So when you are on that path of doing that which you feel you are convicted with, and then also managing the relationship that you are in, how do you navigate that?
Well, before I go on to that, let me talk about what kills relationships. It's not a big thing of affairs that kill a relationship. When you see an affair in a relationship, the relationship went bad long time before the affair. The things that kill relationship are the lots of other things. You know, I don't feel valued in this relationship. He is no longer sensitive. We don't spend time anymore. We are growing apart. He doesn't notice me anymore. Because at the beginning of a relationship, the dress looks nice on you. Oh, your hair.
Okay.
You notice. But then the relationship becomes stable. And you know, it's okay. You know, and we forget that, but she needs to hear that. Because she put it on for you. And so there are little things. The way we talk to each other. is there respect here? Or have we taken each other so much for granted that it doesn't matter? I can throw anything at you, and she can also throw anything at me and doesn't care whether it hurt my feelings or not. So then, those are the things that create a fertile ground for an affair to happen. So the big things, the big fights, if you see the big fight, the thing started long time ago. But in my marriage, the good thing is that theater gave me my wife. She was in the Youth for Christ group I led. So I think that leadership has its own benefits. Has its fringe benefits. So
very necessary.
That was one of the benefits I took advantage of as a leader. There were about 3 or 4 boys who were playing skirmishes around her. But once I came in as a leader, they all had to
fall back.
Oh, they had to fall back. And so that helps. Because of that, she understands the passion, and this is not strange to her. So a conversation about trying to make this thing work is not strange to her. It does not come out of the blue and say, but where is this thing from? Because she remembers where we met. And she was in a few of my productions in the early days. That's before the Roverman days. So that helps. And I think the lesson there is, I tell young people, when you go to a lorry station, you don't go there and look around the buses there. And I'm talking about the lorry station where the buses have different destinations.
Yeah.
So like Circle, you go to Circle. The Neoplan station.
Yeah.
I don't think there are any Neoplan buses there anymore. But
Neoplan was a type of bus.
Yes, it was a type of bus.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, it was called Neoplan. And the assembly plant was here in Ghana.
Oh, okay.
So we had quite a number of those. So that's how come Neoplan station. And it ran Accra Kumasi. So that was the place. But if you go to Circle, you go to Neoplan station, and you see all these buses destined for different places. You don't stand there and say, which bus is more beautiful? Which bus has air conditioning? Which bus has a video or a television? You look for the bus going your way. Do you understand? So if you are going to Kumasi, you don't go and board the Takoradi bus because you like the vibe of the bus. Because the bus is newer than the one that was loading for Kumasi. So you went to this. We don't do that in life, but we do that in marriage. Unfortunately. And so you have people who married just on the basis of he's cute, she's cute. We have a lot in common. She knows where I'm headed. I know what she's about. And we think we can make something together. And I think I've been fortunate that I'm married to somebody who understands this. She was as passionate about this as I was. And so that conversation of we're going to make this thing happen was exciting for her. The challenges were accepted, not imposed on her, but were accepted by her.
Okay, and I just want to touch a bit on one of the things that we have also seen is external voice in marriage. We usually would have clients walking, and there's always an external voice. My mom did this, my mom says this, or I'm living with my mom, or you see the clients who has approached us. Most of the clients' concern is about the voice of maybe the other spouse, family in the marriage. What is your take on something like this, and how should married people navigate that type of voices and influence in their marriage?
It's not a straightforward question because we are Ghanaians.
Yeah.
I don't think an American would have to worry about this too much. No, an European would worry about this too much. But for the Ghanaian, that could become a huge influence. So, for instance, there are mothers that the children know, mom killed herself for us. Mom sacrificed everything for us. Now, I met you when I was 28 and married you. Don't expect that the moment you come in, mom will no longer exist for me. You know, so that dynamics need to be respected. Unfortunately, sometimes the mother, seeing all the sacrifice she's made for the son, and she made the sacrifices for the son in the hope that she will reap from the boy, the son coming to take care of her in her old age. Then a young yati girl comes and says, I'm married. And so me and my wife, no, she won't take it. What I have found works, the formula that would work is for both the boy and the woman to understand these dynamics. Let the woman come into this relationship not to take the place of the mother. It works well when she comes in to enrich the relationship between the mother and the son. Because the wife understands the mother better than the son.
Yeah.
And can sometimes help them navigate a new kind of relationship that enriches them. But unfortunately, you often have this young girl who comes in and said, I don't want your mother in this house. I don't want to hear about your mother. I don't want to see your mother. It's the wrong approach. Then you create stress and tension in your relationship because you haven't managed that well. So it is always a difficult thing to manage, but others have navigated it. So I expect that with time, many more people will be able to find something that works. But the most painful thing is the man or the woman who says, I don't want to see your people in this house, and then fills the house with his people or her people. Do you understand?
Yeah.
That becomes painful.
Yeah.
And that becomes, it becomes even insulting.
Yeah.
That you have said,
okay for your
yes,
family to be here.
Because when my mom comes, the question every day, when is she going back? When is she going back? Then your mom has been with us since 2024. And I dare not ask, so when is she going back? And it always goes down to the choice and why we even married. Was it even for love or for convenience? And those things will need to be navigated. But it is not an easy thing to do sometimes. But please don't come in and rewrite the history of that boy. That boy did not raise himself. That girl did not raise herself. She has people, he has people. He sometimes owes a lot to. So help him pay those debts. And hopefully he would also help them draw the line and realize, when you come to my house, me and my wife, this is our home. Yes, I'm your son. So this is your son's home, but it is also his wife's home. Let's respect it. But you're welcome. As long as you respect that this is the home of a couple. That would work. And we can make it work.
So, Uncle, we'll be wrapping up soon, but I just want to know, what is your legacy? When we say Uncle Ebo Whyte, I know you said a lot that we can piece together and identify what your legacy is. But in your own words, what legacy do you think that you want to forever be known by? That this is Uncle.
I've heard people telling people what their legacy should be. And I've always felt it is presumptuous. Do the best you can now whilst you are alive. Posterity would always be the choice, make the choice. Because you see, I'm old enough to see people who wanted the narrative of their lives to go a certain way, even political leaders who built monuments and statues to themselves because they want to be remembered. No. Posterity will decide how we are going to remember you. We've had leaders, political leaders, who before they left the scene, fashioned a certain narrative for themselves. Some of them trying to get us to accept the fact that I'm the best leader that happened. No, we'll say it. So people need to understand, right now, do the best you can. And in doing the best you can and giving of your best, your legacy will be born. It is not about you. It's about the one. It is about the same, if you like, God who raised you, or the destiny that raised you for a purpose. So since when did you own that purpose? You are just an instrument, a vessel. Remember that. So do that. There's a passage in scripture that addresses this beautifully. It says, after you've done everything, after God has used you, after He's done fantastic things with you, remember to say that I am an unwealthy servant, and I have done only that which is my duty. I think that if many of us can remember that, and it's in scripture, I think it would make us humble. It will make our legacy, whatever it is that the generations after us will decide is our legacy, go very far. It will be much more effective and much more of a blessing than me deciding I want to be remembered as this. No. When you die and you go, you are gone. Leave us. It's like when people before they die write how they will be buried. So okay, so if we don't bury it like this, what would you do?
Come and enforce.
Yeah, what would you do? Woke up. Woke up. Leave us to decide how we're going to bury you. But if you are going to write how we should bury you, then leave the money for us to do it. But don't just write it down and go, and then go. When you go. We'll decide how we're going to bury. And legacy is like that. It doesn't matter how, because once you are alive, you can get people to say all kinds of nice things about you. But when you leave, you've left. And then that is when we'll tell you the real thing. And I would rather do the best I can and hope that posterity after me would find some of the things I was enabled to do useful and relevant to them.
Wow, I don't think there's much to see after this. So what next for Riverman? What's next for Uncle Ebo? What's next for Riverman?
Oh, a lot of great things, a lot of interesting and fascinating things. I get excited about the future of Riverman. How much of it I will see, I do not know, but I know it is good because, for instance, a lot of the things we are planning we haven't been able to roll them out yet. But I know they would come to be a place of our own, and not just a hall to perform, but a home away from home for our patrons. And that excites me a lot. We want the kind of venue that people enter, and right from the door, they've entered into a different environment, a different vibe. And it must be sight that people will say, oh, wow. And then feel immediately enveloped with love, with excellence, the scent of excellence. They must smell excellence, but they must also know you are valued. You are valued. So you walk in there and it's all about you. You are Ken. Welcome to do. So all those ahead of us.
Wow, thank you so much. I think I could go on and on, but at a point we have to nip it in the bud. But it's been so nice having you here. I think we've learned a lot, and this is the type of episode or video where you just have to keep coming back from time to time, and then just pick something that you can use for your own career to see how you can be purposeful in your own career, how you can make an impact. And the bit about the legacy has got me thinking so much about. I've always thought, okay, what do I want to be known for? But the statement you just made about doing your best,
Do your
putting
best
your
today.
best today, and then posterity will tell
Posterity.
is something that has given me a lot to
Yeah.
think on. And so we're very excited that you could make it here, and I'm sure that our audience have been enriched by this conversation. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Community First. Do come back anytime to continue listening to it, share it to someone who would be impacted by this words of wisdom from Ghana's favorite uncle, Uncle Ebo Whyte. It was great having you. As always, you can follow us on all social media platforms at B&P Associates. And I'm sure you can follow Uncle Ebo Whyte on his social media platforms at Uncle Ebo Whyte. And then you can always make sure you are available for every quarter of the drama or the production. Thank you so much, and do have a wonderful week.